now it's time to turn over to one of Patrick's favorite topic, and I know that he likes to jump right into this, which is gold, silver, and precious metals, and prepping in general. So there's going to be lots to talk about here. First off, we just have a new high in terms of dollars for gold. Patrick, what are your thoughts here? Why is gold going up so much?
Because the banks want it, because fiat's failing and fiat is garbage. So what else are you going to buy? Mortgage-backed securities? They're buying gold. Like, there's no way. I mean, today we saw in one market, I guess. I don't know if it hit most markets, but I know in one market it hit an all-time high. So that's beautiful. Silver should be pumping up right against it. And I just don't believe that the banks have enough money to be able to keep the derivatives down. Like, I just don't believe that they can float it. This is about to bust.
Yeah, I think that we've seen it, Dylan. Like we've got a lot of banks that are already stockpiling gold. It's at a record number. It's the highest amount they've had since 1967. Are they bracing for a reset? Are they thinking that the currencies might just go poof and we have to go back to a metal standard?
I don't think anyone is going to go back to a metal standard at this point in time. Um, maybe they might say things or imply it, but we've done that. We've tried it. It's failed. We decided to move on from that. But I mentioned this before is the reason why they might be buying something like gold and silver, those type of physical assets are really good if you can defend your right of ownership over that. So if you have a military, if you have a lot of guns, a lot of weapons, a lot of physical power to project to make it hard for someone to come in and physically take that from you, that's not a bad asset to hold. Right? If you don't have that, it's a bad asset to hold because someone's going to take it from you who does have those things. So
Security.
if they're stockpiling these things, it tells me is that there's a lot more volatility they're seeing in the markets, and we can't deny that, right? The past few years have been a whirlwind, and so things like if we're seeing bank collapse, we're seeing just like wild swings in the financial markets. They're probably thinking, well, it might be wise to hold something that isn't as correlated with those markets, right? Decorrelate our portfolios, decorrelate our investments. So if there is some sort of collapse or there is some sort of issue, we're protected, right? We can have something of value to trade. And so I see that's why they're buying these things. I don't think it necessarily means there's going to be a collapse. So anyways,
Well,
that's my thoughts on that.
Well, the banks are definitely getting prepared. And that's part of the segment. I know, Ben, you like to be prepared. What are your favorite strategies, both economic and otherwise, for being prepared for whatever may come down the road?
Well, economically, I just buy Bitcoin and try and maintain a savings account to get me through any hard times. But running a business, it's kind of on me. So I keep sales coming in and we're all set. Wine's a beautiful thing because it gets better with age and I don't have to worry about a huge moving a ton. But my background is I grew up on a self-sustaining farm. It was my dad's dream to grow all his own food and live off the grid and everything. So I moved home and built a house on my family's property, and we either grow all our own food or I trade for it or spend Bitcoin on it for the most part. And I find knowing your food source is so important because and also like just don't be in the city if bad things happen. But knowing your food source is super important because we saw how supply lines got so disrupted during COVID. That was one. If money just gets completely disrupted, if things go off the rails there, that really disrupts everything, and you can't really expect your food to arrive at the right time. So yeah, I find it super important to know your food producer and be at a point where like they would supply you over someone else because they know you. Develop that relationship. One, get better food in that way, but develop that relationship in case you really need it, because you can rely on people to help you out, but you have to develop that relationship beforehand.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So
That was beautiful. That was like perfectly said. That's exactly what we said. Did you watch every one of our shows and come up with that answer?
That's why I've been wanting to come on with you guys, because I totally relate. Definitely grew up with a preppers in a prepper world and have all these connections with people, and it's such a beautiful thing to say, yeah, my buddy did this. And I mean, I trade wine for everything, but my dad's got everything on the electricity grid, and they're practically off the food grid. I just need to get them off the financial grid and onto Bitcoin.
Well, one step at a time. But as Lynette Zhang said last week, I mean, it's basically an eight points that you want to talk about: food, water, energy, security, barterability, wealth preservation, community, and shelter. And we've hit on pretty much all of those.